Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of the vlog of Greg and BrookeAnna's trip to New Zealand. We got to go to Hobbiton, that was kind of the reason we went to New Zealand on our honeymoon, was because BrookeAnna is such a Lord of the Rings fan, and even in Hobbiton we were just looking at agriculture, whether it was the garden in Hobbiton or the sheep and cattle grazing right across
Yes.
the road.
And this whole filming set is actually on a guy's sheep farm, which is really cool.
So all those videos were taken in Hobbiton. It's like It's like it was where BrookeAnna's world of Lord of the Rings and my world of farming collided. It's pretty fun.
Uh-huh.
So there you can kind of see how many animals that they put out on a paddock at a time. It's just much more dense than in America, and then they can
These ones over here.
go back to that same paddock just a few weeks later because it's already regrown. And we talked to one family and we asked them how many times they mowed their lawn per week, or I guess and they said twice a week. And like we mow our lawn once a week, only in the spring and summer, and by the fall our grass is dead. And so it's just a different climate over there, and ran into a lot of people that said like there were some that we talked to some Americans that were in New Zealand, and they were just like, why can't America put their animals out on grass like they are here? It seems so much better. And it's like, well, we don't have the rainfall, we don't have the climate. Like here, it never really gets below freezing in certain parts, and so in America we can really only graze for a couple months out of the year, in the Midwest and in the West, and it's just different. And I think that's what we got to talk to a lot of New Zealand farmers about how different it was here than it was in America. And it's like I say in my TED talk, every farm is different. It has different infrastructure and climate and ways of doing things, and it's like that for a reason, because what works on one farm in one country would not work on another farm in another country. So you can kind of see like the mountains and forests and sheep and cattle, and it's just really interesting.
One of the places that we stayed at had some horses right behind the little cottage that we got to stay in, and so I got to.
BrookeAnna studied equine
Yeah.
for a few years in college, so she
I love my horses.
she loves her horses. The sunsets were they weren't quite Kansas sunsets, but they were different, with the mountains and with how green it was, and they certainly were great to look at. This is the second dairy farm we stayed on. This one was a little more high tech. It's got the rotating parlor to milk the cows, and the cows just kind of enter it by themselves. They know what to do, and then the automatic flushing of the manure out of the pens there. And I know there's systems like this in America, but it was still cool to see the same kind of stuff in New Zealand. And New Zealand's very regulated. A lot of government regulation here.
We had an extra apple, so I gave it to the horse.
Yeah, this was the next day.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore either, bro.
So this farm we stayed on, it had an ocean to the east, and then a cattle farm to the west, and then mountains behind that, and it's just like so many different types of terrain. And the farmer we stayed with had a pet wild hog.
that he had found while hunting.
We thought was hilarious.
Yeah, just thinks it's one of the dogs.
It acts just like a dog.
It's so funny. Greg even got to feed it some scraps.
Wild hogs are obviously still a pest over there, just like they are here. But the farmer kind of taking this one in, and he was a bro. He was cool. Another example of the sunset. That's no filter or anything. And here's where he kept the sheepdogs. He had like 5 or 6 of them, and then a couple like that brown dog is just kind of his companion, along with the wild hog. But it was just cool to see how much they use sheepdogs there.
So we got to stay at this cabin that his family owns too, and it's super secluded and in the middle of nowhere, and we had to drive 20 minutes just to get there, but we woke up to that view, and it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, we went up there in the dark, and it's just like, man, where are we going? This is like, it just felt like we were being taken into oblivion, but then we woke up, and it was like, wow, that was worth the drive up here.
Well, and that night we got to see the southern lights, too.
Yeah,
that
was really cool.
We just walk right up the hill.
Greg was the gatekeeper.
Yeah, I got to open gates. So we went out in the pasture with this guy, and we got to just kind of see
what he does every day.
Yeah. These are some of his bulls. Let's see, he directs the dog with whistles. So he took us out on his boat, and we got to see dolphins and
we got to see a whale too, but we got seasick right before we saw the whale.
We got super seasick.
So at that point,
there's no video of the whale.
The magic was gone because
we were not feeling good.
We were in rough shape. But at this point, when we saw the dolphins, we were really excited, and
they're really, really tight.
They were really close to the boat.
The water was so clear.
They're interested enough.
What's sorry?
They're interested enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're duskies. I'm pretty sure. There's lots of different types of dolphins that live here.
To those songs to be about farming.
So I got to speak when I was over there to a group of about 250 farmers in New Zealand, and this event was kind of a celebration of the past year, because they'd had a lot of really hard years before that, and there's actually a big problem in New Zealand of suicide among farmers, and so they're trying to really bring awareness to that, and it's the same in America. I mean, if you're ever struggling with mental health, there's you got to talk to someone about it, and you got to there's plenty of people you can go to.
This was another place that a family that we stayed with, and they had adorable little puppies.
You're a climber. Oh, did you want a cuddle, did you?
Puppies always make a video better.
It's true.
It's you.
personalities.
Picking on everybody.
Their mom wasn't so sure about us.
So there's a lot of irrigation in New Zealand, which was surprising to me with how much rain they get. But some of the parts of the country don't get as much rain as others. And then they have pretty much unlimited groundwater in places. And so this pivot was 25 towers long. 25. And it was like you drove past it for a full mile. Pretty impressive. They grew a lot of different crops in New Zealand. Not a lot, I guess. There really wasn't much grain that we saw, but we kind of went there in the fall, so a lot of the grain had probably been harvested and planted to a cover crop or a grass crop. But most of their acres are just grass. I mean, they plant flat fields to grass because they can make more money grazing livestock than growing crops, which is just different than in America. Like in America, we plant our best soil to grain crops because that's what is the most profitable crop. But there, it's like this is a field right along the ocean, and it's planted to grass, and there's cattle grazing right by the ocean, and that just I could never get over that. That was just so different than America.
Mm-hmm. We were even joking, like, do they even realize the scenery that they have while they just stand here all day?
Yeah, we're just like gawking at everything we drive past, and all the New Zealanders are just like, what is your problem? Like, get off the road. So yeah, this was like a livestock facility on another farm we stayed on, and it was also very modern and.
All of the shit is scraped into there, and then it gets separated into the liquids into the big tanks at the back, and then the solids.
It was rainy a lot of the days that we were there, but on the days that the sun was out, it just made everything look completely different in a good way.
Yeah, it was so scenic.
Yeah.
Just felt like you were in Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Except with a lot of sheep. There's what was it called? The fodder
beet.
Fodder beet that they were growing. They feed a lot of that as forage to the cattle. We caught someone planting, or I think he was rolling. Maybe he might have been rolling something, but there wasn't a whole lot of action in the fields, which was kind of a bummer. But we did see a lot of sheep.
So many sheep.
And then these really cool sunsets. But we hope you've enjoyed our vlogs from New Zealand and have learned a little bit about their farming, and you can feel free to comment on the video, and we'll try to do our best to respond to your questions. And yeah, if you ever get the chance to go to New Zealand, you should go for it.